Hello?
Hey man, did you see those images of Elite 88 Trish Stratus?
Yeah, I actually just got the figures from ringside. I'm about to review them.
Dude, that figure looks horrible. The face scan, the attire, and the hat?
Hey, whoa, slow down. What's wrong with her hat?
It looks gigantic. And it's also ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean about the face, but you kind of lost me at the hat. I think it looks sick. But either way, let me review these figures and we'll take a closer look.
Alright man, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, see ya. Ha! Hat's too big. The treasure don't know a dang thing about fashion, that's for sure. But anyway, hey Comer Alexa, you want to saddle up and come with me to review Elite Series 88 Trish Stratus?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
So is that a yes? Okay, I'm just gonna go get started on the review. All right. Okay. Hey y'all, welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Now today I am excited to review... Let's just get the review started. Elite 88 Trish Stratus. Oh. Alright, so let's start off by looking at these figures mint on card. And honestly, for one of the first times ever, I would suggest keeping this figure MOC if you have a desire to get it. Because even though we haven't opened it yet and taken a closer look, I can already tell so many inaccuracies and there is so much wrong with these figures. So yeah, it looks pretty good MOC, to be honest with you. But something I noticed, if you turn the box around here and you read the bio, and this kind of ticks me off a little bit. So it says, before the 7-time women's champion was the diva of the decade. They use the word diva. It's kind of a bad word sometimes in LumberJillville, but we can look past it. It says, Trish Stratus delivered 100% satisfaction as a ringside manager in the Attitude Era. Okay, that is correct. You know, she started out as ringside manager, but these figures don't depict that. They don't. I know she has a jacket and a hat, but listen, this figure, as we'll go into detail, is from her Survivor Series match where she won her first women's championship. Wouldn't that be nice to put on the back of a box? Right? And this is from WrestleMania 18 where she also had a match. So, like, these looks aren't her ringside manager looks, okay? These are from specific matches where, yes, she wrestled, and I wish they would have really elaborated on that on the back of the box. But either way, that's just one little thing. But without further ado, let's open them up and take a closer look, starting with the regular version here in the pink and black. Elite Series 88 Trish Stratus, regular version. This attire is from Survivor Series 2001, which took place on November 18th in Greensboro, North Carolina. On this historical night, Trish Stratus was victorious in a six-pack challenge for the vacant WWF Women's Championship against Ivory, Lita, Jacqueline, Jazz, and Mighty Molly. This would be Trish's very first Women's Championship win. Alright, so my first impressions of this figure, well, to be honest with you, they are not good. There is a lot wrong with this figure, and we'll break it down. Let's just dive right in and take a closer look at her accessories first. So she comes with an extra pair of hands here that are semi-grasping. The one that she comes packaged with are kind of pointing, meant to do a little pose. Now, the two main accessories she comes with are her hat and her jacket. And in my opinion, they're both kind of crappy. Now, hear me out. This hat, if you can't tell by my intro, I think it looks way too big. It looks goofy, and I get that it's hard with the hair mold to get a hat that would fit how it should, but maybe we should have gotten Ultimate Trish with a molded-on hat to be more accurate, because this, to me, this looks goofy. I think the hat looks huge, and not only that, this looks like a Barbie accessory. This color is super, super, super inaccurate to that Survivor Series match. She had more of a whitish, sparkly type pink hat. not this neon Barbie pink. So that sucks. Now her jacket, it's nice to get a unique jacket to her, but it is unfortunately that real see-through lingerie looking cheap cloth. So it should have been a leatherish type material. So yeah, that's definitely a huge strike against the figure. Now trying to get it off around her weird hands is a little tricky, but it comes off pretty easily. So yeah, looking at this jacket, like I mentioned, it's pretty unique to her, but look how cheap it is, y'all. Look how clear, see-through. I mean, it's almost more of a Harry Potter invisibility cloak than it is a Trish Stratus trench coat type jacket. I really wish they would have made this like a leatherish. This just looks cheap. So yeah, her accessories, yeah, I don't like them. I don't think they're very good, but let's take a closer look at her face. All right, now let's take a closer look at this face scan. Now I know this caused a lot of controversy when we first saw images of this figure with how bad the scan was, and I have to tell you, in person, in my opinion, it is actually worse, and I'm serious. Now, I see they did the drawn-on eyebrow look, which was accurate to the time, and that part is actually okay. I think where they really miss is a lot of other little things, such as her face shape. Her face shape is not accurate. She has a very strong jawline, and here we don't get that. I mean, look at the profile of this figure. That does not look like Trish Stratus at all. That looks super silly and goofy. We look at the other side, and same thing. It looks bad. Now, one of the main things for me that just it drives me nuts is, you know, they went heavy on the lipstick here. So much so that it goes above the lip. And in my opinion, it looks like she has a mustache. Okay, when I first opened this figure, that's the first thing I thought was it looks like my Trish has a mustache here, and now I can't unsee it. So that bothers me quite a bit. I also think her eyes might be a little too large. It might be throwing off the overall look too. Now, her hair is also a different kind of blonde here. It's almost like they tried to go with a more realistic type blonde rather than the platinum white that we kind of see. But to me, it looks like Cheeto dust. It's this weird painting technology, almost like a mist or dust, like what we see with the True FX. But it's like an orangish. Like it looks like literally Cheeto dust. Like someone ate Cheetos, had it on their fingers, and then touched the hair. It does not look good, in my opinion. So yeah, overall, this face scan, the hair color, I mean, everything is a huge whiff. I think this is one of the worst face scans that we've gotten in a women's figure, and certainly one of the worst I've reviewed on this channel. So yeah, let's move on to her attire. So moving on to her ring attire, this probably is the best part of the figure, and that's saying something because there wasn't a whole lot of effort put into this ring attire. It's pretty lazy, pretty simple, and boring, but it is decently accurate. Now, the first thing I'm going to point out is, if you watch this channel, you know this is my pet peeve, is that dimpled belly button when they're supposed to be wearing a top. This is what I call the Victoria's Secret body paint, because this is a dimpled belly button that's supposed to simulate a bare midriff, and she's supposed to be wearing a top here, and it's just painted over. No big deal. You know, unreal. Now, they have had smoothed over molds, and they should have used that here, but they did not. Now, this top is pretty accurate. You know, it's just plain black going around, but it does have this little pink trim on the top, and that is accurate. But the only molding going on is between the chest. Now, one of my complaints about this top is, this is Trish freaking Stratus. She should have her own unique top mold. I mean, we've seen unique top molds, and this is an Elite figure, and we just don't get the Elite quality in her upper extremity here. So that drives me freaking nuts. Moving on to her lower body here, we have just the plain pink shorts. That's fine. The shade might not be perfect, but I'm colorblind. I can't tell. Whatever. It looks all right. Then she has black knee pads and black boots with black kick pads. So, I mean, it's fairly accurate to what she wore that night, but the amount of effort or lack of effort that was put into the ring attire is just astounding to me. There's no excuse. Elite Series 88 Chase version. This attire is from WrestleMania 18, which took place on March 17th, 2002 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. On this night, Jazz would defeat Trish Stratus and Lita to retain the WWF Women's Championship. Alright, so my first impressions of the Chase figure, once again, are not good. Probably even worse than the regular version, mostly because this jacket is extremely inaccurate to this WrestleMania match. She came out with a Canadian flag-inspired jacket, and she did not wear her black trench coat with this gear. So it's really a mishmash hodgepodge figure. And plus, we already freaking got this figure in basic form, and it was fine. I mean, it wasn't the best, but it was fine. And we'll do a comparison with that figure here at the end. But taking a look at the accessories, as I mentioned, it's that same jacket, cheaply made, almost see-through transparent, looks like a lingerie jacket. And then her hat, once again, looks rather large and goofy. It looks real silly. This time around, it's white with a red little strap going around, so yeah. Let's take a closer look at this one's face, because even though it's the same scan, mine was printed on a little bad, and woof. Y'all want to see what nightmares are made of? Right frickin' here. So the reason I showed the regular version's face first is that's how it's supposed to look. Here, obviously, the printing technology went on a little bit off, and oh boy, it looks bad. So yeah, as you can see, the lips are off-centered, the white is bleeding over onto her lip, and yeah, I mean, this face, any way you look about it, it's horrible. And like I said, mine might be a misprint here, but even on the regular version where it's printed on correctly, it just looks bad. So yeah, I just had to show you just how bad it looks when that printing technology is a little bit off, especially on some of these women's figures. Alright, so the biggest difference between the Chase version here and the regular version is her ring attire. Now, obviously, here we get the WrestleMania 18 Canadian-inspired attire. Now, we already got that in basic form. As I mentioned, I'll do a comparison next. But taking a look at it, obviously it pops, it stands out, but it's not freaking accurate. The attire she wore that night, that red top, was very sparkly and shiny. And this is one of those situations where they could have drastically improved the figure by making that red a shiny or metallic type red, because just the plain red, it just looks dumb. It just does not look good. Now her shorts are white with red stripes on the side. We have that Canadian maple leaf on the back. Black knee pads, black boots, black kick pads. So yeah, this is literally the same figure we got in basic form, except this time in elite form. But it's not much better. And we still have that painted over dimpled belly button, the Victoria's Secret body paint. So, yeah. Super, super sad. The least thing they could have done is make that paint application of the red shine a little bit or have a metallic shimmer. Alright, so like I mentioned before, we did get that WrestleMania 18 Trish look before. And on the left, we have the WrestleMania Basic that simulates that. And on the right, we obviously have that Elite 88 Chase. Now, these are very, very similar. And to the point where if you look at both of their upper bodies, the Basic has a very generic, we got that generic sports bra type mold that they so often used in the past with the attire just painted over, so that looks really noticeable and bad. And here we have just a generic Elite mold with the top painted over, so it's like minimal effort put into both of these, and like I mentioned, the red needs to have some sparkle or glimmer. Now, the biggest difference between these figures, that's going to be a deciding factor if you need to have a WrestleMania 18 Trish, is the face scan. And is there really any comparison here? It's crazy. It's crazy. I would definitely choose the Basic. Is it perfect? No, but oh my gosh. Look at it compared to this Elite. It's horrifying. It really is. So, I just wanted to show you just how similar these are, and actually how they took a step back by making this figure in Elite form when they should have improved it. Alright, so I know that Mattel has really thrown scale out the window, especially like the women's figures, so I usually don't cover that too much in depth because it's just all over the place. However, it's important to note that this Trish is extremely tiny. Now, this Natty doesn't stand right, but this Natty is the one figure that really stands out in my collection because it is so miniature. And this Trish is pretty much neck and neck as far as height goes with Natty. She might be a little bit taller, but Trish is listed at 5'4", so that's really not that short. And she is very underscaled. So, like I said, Mattel's really thrown it out the window. But it's important to note that when it's extremely off like this Natty is, it really does look silly on display. So, yeah. Alright, so now let's cover articulation. And the first thing I'm going to say is, where are the double jointed elbows? We were told that they were going to slowly transition and start being sprinkled into the lines here. But it's been all the way back since Elite 85. That we saw double-jointed elbows on the women's figures with that Elite 85 Becky Lynch. So, at this point, Elite 88, we haven't seen any women elites with the double-jointed elbows. So, I'm starting to think that, honestly, that Becky Lynch, they might have just reused some Ultimate arms that they had left over, and they made an excuse saying that, oh, slowly they're going to be double jointed elbows. And even though the men's figures, I believe, made that transition, we're still waiting for the women to fully make the transition with double jointed elbows. But as far as articulation goes, don't have a whole lot of head movement. Upper arm on a ball joint. We have that swivel there in the upper arm. Elbow, like I mentioned, single joint flex. Woohoo. Wrist can flex and extend. Can also kind of rotate there. We have that upper body swivel and side bending there. Complete motion. We have that waist swivel. The hip is on a ball joint. She can move. Right at the short line, she has rotation. The knee is double jointed at least, so you can really bend that back. The knee pads don't inhibit that. She has upper boot swivel, and her foot can go down and up. So, yeah. Like I mentioned, where are the double jointed elbows? That'd be nice to actually start seeing those. Alright, so I know I usually do, here's one last look to really appreciate and get a closer look at the figure one last time. But I think we've seen enough, so let's jump right into the scores. Now, overall, I give Elite Series 88 Trish Stratus regular version a score of a 4 out of 10. Now, I know that's a thing on my channel that I usually give high scores, but I can really find the good and the quality and the positives in all these women's figures, usually. However, when something's bad, I gotta call it out because they need to be better and they need to do better. This figure is lazy, it's inaccurate, the scan is terrible, and there just wasn't a whole lot of effort put into this figure, and it's Trish freaking Stratus. She is a legend. So that's why that gets a 4 out of 10. And honestly, I give Elite Series 88 Trish Stratus Chase version a score of a 3 out of 10. It's even worse. We've already got this figure in basic form that's actually better, and it's not even accurate. And it looks silly packaged with that black jacket that she did not wear. So yeah, I stay positive in LumberJillville, and like I said, I have a thing that the treasurer makes fun of me for because I always give higher scores, than maybe some people would, but I feel no shame, and I completely think that, in my opinion, these figures deserve those low scores because, boy, what a disappointment. Thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. For a first look at all future women's wrestling figures, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and join the community. For LJV merch, head on over to ProWrestlingTees/LJV. Also, if you want to hear our weekly podcast with the treasurer and I, check out LumberJillcast wherever you listen to them. Have a great night, y'all.